Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's session. This is Shweta Roy, your English master teacher at Vedantu, and hope you all are doing great. So, in today's session, we are going to deal with the first chapter of your story of your NCRT first flight, the very first lesson, and we are going to analyze the entire, the story and what the author wants to actually say from this story. What is the moral lesson that the author wants us to carry when we are reading the story? And of course we are going to analyze the characters and the various angles from which the story can be looked at, and of course discuss some of the high order thinking skills questions, right? So before beginning with today's session, let me ask you a simple question, right? And the question is, how many of you have ever tried writing a letter to someone like God, someone who you believe in but you have never seen in person? How many of you have tried this? I'm sure not many of us have tried this task, right? But I would like to, I would like to share with you one of my stories that I used to do when I was a kid. When we are kids, we usually easily believe in fairy tales, right? We believe in the stories of God, in the stories of demons, and in also in Santa Claus. So I was such a child and I was naive, and I used to believe that yes, Santa Claus does come during the time of Christmas, and I used to write a letter to Santa Claus asking for so many gifts that I wanted from him. Funny? I hope you can also relate it with me. Many of you must have tried this, right? So, a similar situation comes up in this story where a person, a character called Lencho, who is naive and who can be seen as a naive and gullible character. We'll come to the character of Lencho as we proceed in the story. We will try and analyze his character as well simultaneously along with the story. So he can be looked at as a naive and gullible character as well, who had an unquestioning and unflinching faith on God the Almighty. So how many of us believe in God? We all will say that yes, we do believe in God, but how many of us believe in God to such an extent that we try to communicate with him? Not many of us, right? So this was something unusual in the character Lencho from the story Letter to God. So now let us move on to the story and see how it goes interesting, right? So first of all, I would like to congratulate, I would like to thank all of you to share for sharing your love and your support. And it is because of all your love and support that Vedantu 9th and 10th family is now a family of 5 lakh young minds. That's amazing. Thank you, guys. So, moving on to the chapter, A Letter to God. It's a very interesting story and a very unusual one, too. So, first of all, before beginning with the session, let me, kind of take you to a world of faith. And I'll begin with a wonderful quote that you must have heard it, right? Faith, the size of a mustard seed, can move mountains. This is from Matthew 17:20. So, what is this all about? What is a faith? What is faith, and how can it move mountains? Yes, it can. So we will see how it works when we enter the story. Okay? So guys, if you think that your learning needs to be uninterrupted and it should not face any of the impacts of the recent pandemic, then don't forget to download the Vedantu app, because we all ensure this, we are all committed towards maintaining this we are all committed towards helping you and to help the students and parents, right? So please download this app and study from the safety of your home. So before beginning with today's session, let me introduce to you the author of this story. Now, this story is written by the Mexican writer Gregorio Lopez Fuentes. And here he describes the tale of an innocent farmer named Lencho. As I told you, we will have, an analysis of his character as we proceed along the story simultaneously, right? It is a beautiful story and it has a message for all the readers. Now, moving on to the chapter, let us go into the story. And before going to the story, again, let us see the title, A Letter to God. Now, who is writing this letter to God? Now, the very title is actually bringing the reader's curiosity. What about a letter to God? Who can write a letter to God? And why at all is there a need to write a letter to God? We will see everything as we proceed in the story. So, Lencho was a farmer and he lived on a valley. He's a very poor farmer. He's an innocent farmer where he farms crops, and he sees that his crops are ready to harvest, right? The flowers are coming up, they are blooming, ready to bloom. It's just that it needed a little rain, right? It just needed a little amount of rain. It could be even a shower, or it could just be a downpour, right? So yes, it needed at least a shower or even a downpour. So at least a shower means even light rain was possible, but it would have been better if there was a downpour. So you can see from here that the lives of poor people, especially the farmers, how that is totally dependent on the nature for survival. So if it would have rained and showered, or at least a mild shower would have been possible, then his crops would grow. He would be able to harvest his crops. And if he would be able to harvest his crops, he would be able to sell them in the market. And that is how he's going to bring money, and he's going to feed his family and have his two ends meet. So you can see that it is completely telling you about the fatalistic philosophy, right? So complete dependence on nature for his survival, which brings in mind another play. If you can see that play called Riders to the Sea by J.M. Synge, that also talks about how the life of, daily wage, not daily wage earners, but yes, people like farmers. There, actually, Synge talks about a man, a family who used to live in Aran Islands, and they were fishermen. So how they were totally dependent again on nature for their survival and for their daily needs. Right? So again, over here, the author is talking about a similar concept. Moving on further, what happened was, now the only thing that he awaited for was rainfall. And Lencho was quite optimistic. When you read through the chapter, you will see that he had hope. He had hope, and therefore he was looking at the sky, looking at the eastern sky, northeastern sky. Why did he look at the northeastern sky? Because that promised to bring rain. So he was hopeful that rain would occur, right? At least even a drizzle would be sufficient for him. Okay. So he also goes and he tells his wife that we are expecting rainfall. We will get rainfall. Right. So then he saw that he could see mountains of clouds approaching from the northeastern sky. Right. And he was filled with pleasure. He was overjoyed. Right. Because as you saw that he was completely dependent on nature for his survival. Right. So if it would rain, it would have brought money and food for his family and himself. Right. So now he could see that clouds were approaching and the air was fresh and sweet. And then finally, to his pleasure, it started raining. And when it started raining, he was so overjoyed, he was so excited, so happy, filled with pleasure that he goes out and he starts to feel the pleasure of rain on his body. So not only was he enjoying the, beauty of rain and beautiful, rainfall like we do go out of our houses and try to enjoy and feel the beautiful weather, amazing weather. If it rains, we feel this fresh earthly smell. We feel the droplets of water falling on our body. Similarly, Lencho also did so. And moreover, he was also overjoyed because this rain is going to bring him money. So therefore, he compares the large droplets to 10 cents and the smaller ones to 5 cents, because these drops of water is going to be financially helpful for him. How? Because these drops of water would, feed his crops, right? And his crops would harvest and he would sell these crops in the market and would be able to earn as much money as he needs to feed his family and to survive. Right. Now, what happens? Suddenly, the situation alters. And instead of the rainfall that was happening, now the rainfall turned into hailstones. Now, the hailstones, the author over here is comparing the hailstones with new silver coins. And previously, he was comparing the rainfall with the larger ones with 10 cents and the smaller ones with 5 cents. So you can see over here that he is using metaphor. The author is using metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech where you compare two things without the usage of like or as, which is there in the simile. So that is how a simile is different from a metaphor, right? So in metaphor you have indirect or implicit comparison. So large hailstones, because they resemble, how did they resemble new silver coins? Because of their color. Okay, so strong wind. But what happens in the story is that these the boys, okay, and yes, Lencho also had two sons. No, not two sons. He had the boys, the larger ones, the younger ones. They were playing, and the older ones, they were working on the field. Right. So as the hailstones started to, the rainfall converted into hailstones, what did the boys do? They went out just as young boys and young kids do. They go out and start collecting, the hailstones with them, right? So similarly, these boys, they also went away and they started collecting these hailstones. They were enjoying themselves, right? But what happens, actually they were innocent boys and they were being playful, right? And they went out and they started collecting these hailstones, just as you and me would do when hailstones would fall, right? We would enjoy that beauty and we would feel pleasure in collection of those small frozen pearls, as the author says in this chapter, right? So now, suddenly, what happened? The situation started becoming severe. Now, the hailstones, they started becoming, stronger and stronger. And Lencho, he understood that the situation is now getting worse. It's getting bad. He says it is really getting bad now. And it will not pass quickly. For an hour, what happened? It rained. Hail rained in the entire house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, the entire valley. And the entire atmosphere looked white as if it was covered with salt. So again, the author is comparing the white field with the white field covered with hailstone with as if it has been covered with white salt, right? So that is the comparison that the author is making over here. So now the farmer Lencho, he was devastated. He got disappointed because his entire crop was destroyed. There was no leaf left in the branches of the tree, right? So totally it was, everything was destroyed, and Lencho's soul was heavy. It was filled with sadness, right? And then when as the author says that a plague of locusts would have left more than this, the hail has left nothing. This year we will have no corn. The night was a sorrowful one. So this is what Lencho says, that we have nothing left. The hailstorm has devastated, destroyed the entire thing. And he's comparing the destruction made by the hailstorm by a plague of locusts destroying the cornfield. So a plague of locusts would have caused less destruction than what has been caused by the entire hailstorm, right? So he says that now, so you can again see that he is totally dependent on nature for his survival. So since now his crops has been the crops have been destroyed completely, so he has nothing left with him. So again, how would he earn his living? Everything got destroyed, right? So you can see how he is again and again the author is trying to bring this point he's recurrently giving this point that the life of a poor family, the life of a innocent person like Lencho, innocent farmer like Lencho, is completely dependent on, yes, nature. So he is on the mercy of nature. If nature is merciful enough to show a light drizzle or even a shower of rain, he would have a good harvest. And if he is, if Mother Nature shows her fury and starts the rainfall got converted into hailstones, then there would be a complete change in the in the life of these poor and innocent farmers like Lencho. But still, Lencho was such a character that he did not lose his faith on God. So this is the most important characteristic feature of Lencho, his unquestionable faith, his unflinching faith on God. So previously when he was hoping for a shower in the beginning of the lesson, again he was showing his faith on nature, and that is equivalent to his faith on God, right? So again, even when he had nothing left, he was totally destroyed, totally devastated. There was nothing left for him. He could not survive, but still he did not lose his faith on God. What did he say? As you look at the chapter, he says that don't be so upset. Even though this seems like a total loss, remember, no one dies of hunger. That's what they say. No one dies of hunger. So still he is having this unflinching faith by saying that we cannot die of hunger. There is someone who is going to take care of us. He won't let us die of hunger. So this is his faith on God, and now this is open to everyone to interpret this faith as like on multiple levels. You can say that some of you might be suspicious and might be saying, what kind of a stupid person was Lencho? He lost everything, still he is saying that I will not die of hunger. So and the other half would say that he had an unquestionable belief and faith on God. And as we have done in the previous, in the beginning of the session, that faith is something, it is as small as a grain of sand, but it can move mountains. So it has the power of moving mountains. So this tremendous faith of Lencho on God is going to have a consequence. Now, what is that consequence? Whether it will be positive or negative, let us see as we proceed the chapter. Right. So Lencho was very hardworking, and though he was a farmer, he was not illiterate. He knew how to read and he knew how to write. Right. So yes, and he also says that God sees everything, even what remains in one's own conscience. So whatever we are thinking, so he says that God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, that is all powerful, and he can see everything, and he's present everywhere, and he can even understand whatever we are thinking deep in our conscience, right? So whatever lies deep inside us, he can see even that. So he sees everything. So that was what he had learned. So as a child, we learn many things, right? We learn when we are children, our mother, our family, they they teach us that yes, we need to trust God, we need to have faith on God. So we are instructed like this, that God sees everything, please don't do anything wrong, God is seeing, he is above you, right? So we are instructed in such a way, like these are embedded in our mind. So similarly, this thing also was embedded in Lencho's mind, that God sees everything and God is there to help everyone, whoever is in difficult circumstances, right? So now what happened, the entire night he thought, and he then thought that he is going to write a letter to God. So herein comes the significance of the title Letter to God, when Lencho, a character, has unflinching faith in God, and his faith was so powerful that he thought that he should write a letter to God, and that was a medium of correspondence to God. So he is trying to communicate to God. Many of us think that we believe that God exists, but our faith is not as strong as Lencho that would enable us to write a letter to God, right? So being an ardent believer in God, Lencho writes a letter to God. And what does he write in that letter? He asks God to give him money. He wrote to God on the envelope and placed a stamp on the letter and dropped into the mailbox. Now, your question, the question can come in your exams as well, that why did he write to God on the envelope? So yes, again, he writes to God on the envelope because he thinks that this letter that he is writing to God and posting it will reach the address of God. So again, showcasing his ardent faith, his strong belief in God, which is a very, very, very unusual sight and a rare sight, that I must say. How many of us can do this, and how many people have you seen in your entire life doing such kind of activity, as in to write a letter to God and post it in the mailbox? I used to write letters to Santa Claus, but I never did post it anywhere, right? So somehow at the back of the mind, why did I not post it anywhere? Because somehow at the back of the mind, even if I was a child, I had this idea, that I had this doubt in me, that doubt if really does Santa Claus exist. That was the doubt, and that is the doubt which stops us, or which prevents us from actually writing a letter to someone like God. Even though we believe in God, we say we believe in God, but the author is questioning through the character of Lencho, to what extent. To what extent do we believe in God? Do we believe in God to that extent as to, strike a communication with Him with the medium of a letter? That is the question, right? So, yes, he was having undoubted faith in God and therefore he wrote the letter. The postman saw the letter and showed it to the postmaster. Now, the postman, we will see in the book, in the story, that one of the employees was a postman, and when he first received this letter, he was surprised, and his first reaction was laughing out. Okay, he laughed heartily at the foolishness of Lencho, you could say. And the second reason is what is that in his entire career he had never seen this kind of incident, someone writing letter to God, right? And also he did not know to what address should he send that, because he has never seen such an address. So he was laughing at the foolishness of Lencho, who wrote a letter to God. So yes, try to place yourself in the place of the postman and try to think that if someone like Lencho would have come and given you a letter which is addressed to God, what would be your reaction? Well, if someone does the same with me, I would be really surprised and I would have the same reaction as the postman had. Right? Because we do not actually believe in God. Though we claim that we do believe in God, but we do not actually believe in God. And therefore, if someone says that post this letter to or give this letter to God, we would think that this man is gone. He's psycho. He's mad. He's not in his senses. What is he saying? From where am I going to carry on, his task, his errand? It's not possible. From where do I need to, from where will I find God? So that is the case. However, what did he do is he showed that to the postmaster. Now, the postmaster did not want to shake Lencho's faith. So, initially, the postmaster's reaction was also similar to the postman. He started laughing. But then, the postmaster, he was a serious kind of a person. And therefore, his personality was different from the postman. Right. So, how was he a serious kind of a person? When he saw that letter addressed to God, he thought, oh my God. First of all, he burst out laughing, but then he thought, oh my God, what tremendous faith this character is having on God. And he kind of got jealous. He kind of envied Lencho that why couldn't I get this kind of faith as Lencho had? Then, because he understood Lencho's faith, therefore he did not want to shake Lencho's faith on God. As a result, what did he do? He said that something must be done. Now, he decided to answer the letter that Lencho had sent to God. Okay. Now, while answering the letter, he knew that he needed more than a goodwill and an ink and a paper. And what else did he need? He needed money. The 100 pesos that Lencho had demanded in his letters. He needed those 100 pesos. Now he started working on that. He started collecting those 100 pesos with the help of the colleagues, and the postmaster was successful finally in raising only 70 pesos because he could not afford the 100 pesos demanded by Lencho. He put the money in an envelope addressed to Lencho. And what did he sign? He signed as God. Again, the question comes, why did he sign as God? Why did the postmaster sign as God? Because he was a serious kind of a man who realized Lencho's unflinching faith towards God. And secondly, he also wanted to help Lencho financially. Therefore, if he thought that if I sign as God, Lencho would believe that this letter has come from God, and that would keep his untarnished faith on God intact, right? So now Lencho visited the post office next Sunday, and this time he was before time because he was excited. He had this firm faith that his answer, like his letter, would be answered. Again, the character of Lencho's unquestionable belief in God. So this point needs to be added, that he came to the post office earlier than usual. Why? Because he knew, he was certain that he would receive this answer from God. How many of us would have done the same? Even if we would have posted the letter, we would have never thought that we would get the answer from God, because again, the doubt at the back of the mind, right? That the suspicion whether God exists or not, that suspicion is there. But such suspicion was never in the mind of Lencho. He had undoubted faith. He was certain that God would reply. Lencho became angry. Why did Lencho become angry? Because with excitement, he opened the letter, and what did he see? He saw that while he counted the money, he saw that he only had 70 pesos. There were only 70 pesos, but he had demanded 100 pesos. So definitely he got angry. So his anger again shows his faith towards God, because he believed that God could never make this mistake. How could he not give me what I demanded, what I asked for? So God takes care of everyone. So how could he land me up in such a trouble? I need this space, the 100 pesos, so that I can continue my life. I can yield my crop, and also for the next year, and also for the time being, I can feed my family. So how could God not understand this? God, who understood and who can see everything, how could he make such a mistake? Lencho went up to the window, and then he asked for ink and paper. And this is the second letter that he is again writing to God. Again showing his untarnished faith and, undoubted faith, unflinching faith to God. And then he is putting it back again in the mailbox. The postmaster. Now let us focus on the character of the postmaster. Try to empathize with the postmaster. Place yourself on the shoes of the postmaster. What would you have done if you would have been in the place of postmaster? Suppose you have helped someone in need, and you get a reply from that person in letter. So of course you would expect a kind of gratitude from that person, a vote of thanks from that person. So the postmaster was very eager to find out the letter and read it, because he expected Lencho to be happy and to be thankful for the postmaster, because he had done whatever he could. He took the trouble of collecting the 70 pesos. Actually, he tried to collect the 100 pesos but managed only 70 pesos. Anyways, but he took all the efforts to do so. But what happened to the letter? The letter said, God, of all the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. But don't send me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. That is what Lencho says. That when he opened the letter, what did he find? He found that Lencho is, instead of saying and instead of thanking the postmaster, what is he saying? He is saying that I only asked for 100 pesos. I asked you for 100 pesos, but I have received only 70 pesos. I need the rest. It is urgent. I need to feed my family. I need to get my field ready for the next year, because everything is destroyed. I need it. But this time, please do not send the rest of the 30 pesos through mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. So here the story ends, and the end of the story is quite ironical. How is it ironical? Because Lencho is blaming the same persons, the same people who had actually helped him in keeping the faith, in keeping him faith intact, keeping his faith intact. They had helped him in financially as well, and also tried to keep his faith intact, right? So still, what happened? He said that these persons are a bunch of crooks. So herein comes again another feature of Lencho. What is that feature? Yes, Lencho did not trust humans. Though he had unflinching faith on God, but somehow he lacked faith on humanity, because he thought that these post office employees, they are cheats, they have stolen their money. So he could never imagine, and he could never, he did not go and try to find out actually from where has this 100 pesos come. If we would have been in Lencho's place, we would definitely have gone and tried to find out. First of all, we would have been surprised when we would see this 100 peso, 70 pesos. Even the 70 pesos would come as a surprise, because we have a doubt in the existence of God. But since Lencho had no doubt in the existence of God, he never goes to find out. So this can also come as your question: why did he never go back and try to find out who sent the money? Because he never felt the need. He had undoubted faith. He was certain that it is from God that the money is coming, but he lacked the faith in humanity. And because he lacked that faith in humanity, he thought that these persons are a bunch of crooks, and he thought about the same people who actually, helped him. So this is an ironical ending. What is an irony? The disparity, or the difference between what you expect and what is the real situation. So the difference between expectation and reality, that gives you the irony of the story, because the postmaster had expected something else. The postmaster expected, a good reply, a reply where he would thank him. But what did he get? He got something opposite, right? So that was an irony. Now, what have we learned through the story? The story teaches us that if a man has unwavering faith in God, he can achieve anything considered unsurmountable. Yes. So through, as we said, let me take you back to the quote that we with which we began the lesson. Faith can move mountains. So faith is as small as grain, but it can move something as huge as mountains. So if you have faith, if you have trust, you can do whatever you can, whatever you want to, right? So that is the positivity of faith, and that is the optimism that Lencho had. Okay, so nothing is impossible if you have trust in God. Whatever God does it for the best. So that is what Lencho believed. If with true faith one asks God for help, God responds. Yes, if you be true to God, if you have true faith in God, God will definitely respond to you, but through his own ways. And of course, here the postmaster, he can be seen as what? As a messenger of God, right? So God responds through his own ways and help man's any legitimate desire. So whatever you ask God, any legitimate desire, whatever lawful, whatever you need, that you can ask to God, and God would definitely help you out in his own ways. In this story, God came to help Lencho through the postmaster. So, as I told you, that God can be seen, the postmaster in the story can be, yes, he can be seen as the messenger of God. So, God resides in every human being, right? God exists through the good deeds we do. Okay, so the postmaster is acting as a messenger of God, helping Lencho. So you cannot say that God is not there. So we do not need to trust on God. God is there in every one of us. Someone helping you out, some friend helping you out when you need the utmost help, he or she is your God at that time. Your parents who shower your unconditional love on you and give you whatever you want as much as possible for them, they are your God. Your teachers sharing unconditional love, guiding you, helping you out in always like in all possible ways without any thing in return, without any desire in return, they are God for you. So God is not someone whom you need to seek. He's not an entity who is not visible, who is an invisible entity. No, he is very much there. His presence is felt all around us with the help of, through the medium of parents, teachers, or a friend in our need. Right? So that was what the author wanted to tell us through this story. And of course, one question that again arises when we look at the character of the postmaster, you can see that how he, he tried to maintain this faith, unflinching faith of Lencho, and how he tried his best, whatever was possible from his end. He tried that, right? He tried his best to do that. So, what do you think? Suppose you are the postmaster, okay? You are the postmaster, and you have helped someone like Lencho, and Lencho is being ungrateful to you. Would you again go back and help another person in need? Again, this question can have multiple responses, because in literature we do not have one single response, right? It's not like mathematics, restricted to a plus b whole square formula. It's literature. Literature makes you open minded, broad minded. You can have multiple perspectives. One can view 6 from one side, but the other side, the person at the other side will view that as 9, right? So it is about multiple perspectives. Life has multiple perspectives. So we cannot restrict ourselves in one criteria or one, narrow boundary, right? So some of you will say, no, I don't want to help the other person if he's being ungrateful to me. That is fine, fully justified. But of course, you have to give justification to your answer. But if you say that no, because I am, for the sake of humanity, I would definitely again try to serve someone else. So what if he is being ungrateful? I did not, serve that person. I did not help that person in expectation of something, right? So in life, if we expect something from the others, then it always hurts us, right? So when we are helping someone, we should do it unconditionally. We should not expect that we are helping him. So next day, if I am asking that person, if I am asking for help from that person, he's also going to do the same for me. So if you are expecting anything in return and then helping, then your help does not mean anything. Then that does not count at all. So help is a help only if it is selfless, right? For example, Mother Teresa, she helped the entire humanity, but she did not expect anything in return from the poor people. What could the poor people give her in return? They were already poor. They had nothing to give except for love, right? So even if they did not give love, that does not matter. She was not hungry for that. She thought it is her duty, it is as a part of her humanity that she should help others. She should help the poor, right? So she helped them. Similarly, if I would have been in place of the postmaster, and if I would have encountered a person called Lencho, like Lencho, I would not be, demotivated to help someone else in need again, right? So that I leave it to you. What would be your response? You can comment in the comment section. And of course, you can reach out to me anytime at shweta.roy@vedantu.com. I hope I was able to explain this chapter to you and also explain the moral lessons that you could take back with you. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope to see you soon. Till then, take care. Bye bye.